Hey, Sunny here. I found this awesome pad of Hello Kitty paper. I love Hello Kitty. And I decided I wanted to make a book. And I'll show you the pad. You can kind of see a little bit what's in here. I've already turned out a bunch to make my pages. But it's really fun paper. And then there's like almost 20 pages of these cool nifty stickers and punch outs. These are all punch outs. They're already perforated to tear them out, and they tear out pretty easy so far. But how fun is that? There's so many cool stuff to go with this. And then these are stickers. There's 3 sheets of those. So really, really fun pad. I really love it. So I wanted to make a journal, a themed journal. I'm going to stick this under here. And a lot of times when I know kind of what I want, but I have things I have to work out, like this one was, how am I going to bind it? Because I wanted it in a cover that has the front and the back, and then the spine, which this will be the spine, it's not covered yet. But I wanted the book to sit here, and this cover to be free, and I want to put a pocket on this cover. So I knew I wanted to bind this in a way that it's going to just stay on this cover. So I either need to sew it and then, glue the last page down like you would in a case binding and just have my spine showing, or have it wrapped with, paper so it looks nice. My other 2 options were the dual wire binding and arc binding, which is what this is. It has discs, and you punch your paper, and then you can take your paper out like that, and just, carefully so you don't tear the little tabs, and then you can just put it back in. And this is an art journal. This one's made for art journaling, so I can take out the pages, muck them all up, do whatever, work on a spread, whatever, and put them back in, and I don't mess up my binding, because with the dual comb binding, my rings are always crappy up. So this, when I tried it out, will not glue down, because when you pull it like this, it will pull out of this last page. So the arc binding turned out to not be an option for this journal. But I think that the comb binding is going to work. These 2 wire bindings. I think this is going to work, and it's going to be 2 parts. And one will be bound here, one will be bound there for all of my pages, so that it looks kind of cool, but still it's, sturdy on there. So I'll show you kind of how I work this out. Let me see if I can see on here. I guess you can see a little bit. I drew kind of what I want my book to look like, and I drew my envelope pocket, my pen loop, and, where my book block was going to be. And then I worked out down here how I'm going to tape this spine, because I'm constrained by using 12 by 12 paper. I don't have longer paper to use for the spine, or to go like the whole, around the whole book, clear around and then lap up. So because I didn't have that, then I had to get creative. I have to make a spine, and it will go in between these. So I'm real organized here, you can tell. But it will go between all of these and lap over like this, and then there'll be another piece that covers that part. So one of those things, if you only got so much to work with, you got to figure out how to make it work. These are bent, but when I do glue the inside down on these, they will actually warp the other way again, and then I'll put them under weight, and then they'll be nice and flat. They won't stay warped like this. This is where I was working out, how it would look. This is like a side view, like if you look at the end of the journal, that you'd see the envelope there and the pen loop, and then the book block here, and I kind of illustrated myself little pictures there so I could noodle it. That's what I call it. I noodle it, or put it on the back burner. Yes, so sometimes it takes me a while to get to projects, but by then I have a lot of my problems already solved, and then I sit down and, like, this is pros and cons on the different binding I was going to use, and a drawing of one. And this is for measurements for my boards and pages. So this is kind of how I work out what I'm going to do, because I'm a little scatterbrained, and keeping all that all straight in my head while I'm actually trying to measure and create. It just doesn't happen for me. So there you got a little insight into how I work that out. I already did start working on this. I was going to film it. I had every intention of filming it, but I forgot when I started. So I'll just kind of catch you up to where I am, and then you can watch me do the rest. This might end up being 2 videos. It might be long. I'm not sure. I also have these cool Hello Kitty tapes that I got. I love Hello Kitty. So I have those to work with for my book too. I'll show you my pages. I cut out of the 12 by 12 sheet. I cut it down to 9 inches and then cut it in that part in half, so I have 9 by 6 inch pages. So my binding and my cover will be larger, obviously, to accommodate for that, because I want my rings to be able to sit here so that my spine comes up against it. It's not in the way. So these are my pages, and I just, before I punch these edges, I kind of went through this way to kind of see which order, you know, I would want them in. And then I went ahead and punched them, and I used, oh, I forget what it's called. I don't think it's a bind at all. I don't know, but anyways, it punches these papers. It punches these holes. And then you can put the rings through. So if I stop filming and go get it in a little bit, I'll show you. So I have my stack of pages here. And once I got my stack of pages and knew how many I want, then I dug out all my rings that I have and looked for the one that's going to be the right size. And when these are squeezed together, this still has room to grow, but it's not so big that it's just floppy. So this has turned out to be a really good size. This is 3/4 inch. I also have 1 inch, and I have some really small stuff. But so I used 3/4 inch on that. And you know, I was done punching all my pages. I have all these awesome strips to still work with, to, you know, put stuff in with, or add tip-ins, or whatever for another project even. I'm going to sit those out of the way though. There. Okay, so I'm going to work on finishing the inside of my covers and my spine. And I want to make sure I'm working with it right side up, because you would not believe how easy it is to have one cover right side up and one cover wrong side up. Okay, so if you notice this is narrow, yes, measure twice, cut once. Yeah, I've been making books for a while, and I still occasionally just do mess it up somehow. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I draw everything out and have it to look at, is because I'm pretty good at messing stuff up. So I kind of want to figure out how far I want my tape or my binding part to fold over onto this side. And I kind of want it to come over far enough to be, you know, really secure. And this is the paper I'm using for that. So I'm just going to lay it out here and kind of see what I think, because I think I really want it to be like that much, like maybe an inch. Maybe I'll measure it, huh? How about that? Actually measure it. Now, if I just had a sticky note and a pencil. Okay, so I think I want to measure that at about an inch. So I'm just going to make a tick mark there. And my book board, I'm going to measure how thick my spine and my book board is, and it is just over 1/8 of an inch. So I want to leave more than 1/8 of an inch, so that when you try to close your book, it's not binding up against itself like this. So I want to make sure that I leave at least 1/8 of an inch, because you need both of them to be able to go like this. So if I have that one there, and I'm going to move my spine over, and it needs 1/8 of an inch. I am going to leave like 3/16, I think. Yeah, and I'm just going to make a mark there, and I'm going to make a mark on my ruler, because that's really a lot easier then. Okay. It does make it nice if you make a mark on your ruler if you're going to measure the same measurement again, especially if I'm going to be making the same measurement a lot of times, like to punch holes repeatedly in something or something like that. Then I make a mark on my ruler so I don't have to count all the little ticks and, oops, not there, holy Pete. See, yeah, measure twice, cut once. All right, and this one, I'm going to make the same measurement in between the spine, and then 1 inch to lap up onto the other side of the book. So now I'm going to bring in my wonderful, I really like this paper trimmer a lot. I think I've mentioned it on one of my other videos that this is my preferred paper trimmer. And how to cut with, if you want to cut just a sliver, like if I wanted to cut just a sliver off of this, or you have really smaller pieces you're working with and they want to move, this doesn't hold them down good and they want to move, just tape it down. Just stick it right where you want to cut it, put a little piece of tape on it, and then it won't move and you'll get a perfect cut. I like it. Okay, get my paper stuff out of the way here. This, oh, holy Pete. This is what I'm going to use on the inside of my covers to cover this part. I'm going to use this red. So I already have that picked out. Now I have my spine piece cut, and I'm going to need to cut another one to match, I just realized. And this I'm going to cut out, I'm going to put her on the front cover. So those are what those papers are all about. And I'm going to cut another piece of this spine because it's only going to fold over to like right here, and I need a piece to go there. So I'm going to cut another piece the exact same width. Ooh, wow, yeah, that's going to be really difficult to see. So I just put my other paper on top of the paper I'm going to cut, and then slide it over till it meets my cutting line. And I'm going to be as absolutely precise as I can be so that they line up perfect. Okay, I'm going to hold that down. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze out that other piece, and we'll see if I did good. Yep, perfect. Yay! And I think I'm going to go ahead, now that I'm thinking about this, I put these down and glue these down. Do I want to put my paper on? See, I didn't think about this ahead of time. If I do that, do I want to put my paper on that goes here? No, I want that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the papers on this because I want this to come down and go over the edges. So I'm going to move my spine and my spine papers out of the way, and I'm going to cut these papers to go on the inside of there. The only thing about this paper pack that I wasn't wild about is they have their registered copyright or what all that stuff right down here. I mean, put it on the back. The back's white, you know, but well, other than that, I love the paper, so, you know, really, I shouldn't gripe because I really like it. Now, I'm going to measure. I want to see exactly how close I want this to be, and then I want to measure it so that I cut the paper so that it's the same all the way around rather than trying to eyeball it. So I'm just going to see what I think looks good, and I like it just about there. So I'm going to measure, yes, measure again and again and again and again, and one more time just in case. I don't think I wanted a whole 1/4 inch out, do I? No, I wanted about 3/16 as well. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to measure that to be about 3/16. Okay. Oh, and then I move it. Okay, this I'm probably going to have to speed up because, hello, you're going to be bored as heck. I am. Okay. Now I'm going to go down to this side. I'm lining it up with the edge of this board going right here, and then making the mark at the 3/16 so I can see where I need to cut it going that way. And then I'm going to put it at 3/16 from this edge, which is right about there. And then I'm going to make a mark right where the edge of my board is, because it doesn't need to go past the edge of my board. Okay. I'm going to cut this one first. Instead of doing them both at the same time, I'm going to cut one first and see how it fits onto the other one. And then that way, if the measurements are a tiny bit different, then I won't have one that looks wonky. There's my mark. There it is. Okay. Now, let's see how this fits. Okay, that fits pretty good. That's going to smoosh down. Okay, let's see if it fits on this one as well. See how close of measurements I got. Yeah, see this one? It's a little off. So we're going to measure this again. Okay, and put this, I'm going to put 3/16. I know 3/16 is a pain in the butt measurement to use, but it does just what I want this time. Alright, see, that's where a good idea is not to just assume that one inside cover will fit the same on the other cover, even though you made everything that's supposed to line up perfectly. Sometimes it's just a little smidge off. And then you don't have any paper to do the next one, maybe, because I think this is the last of these two papers. There was 4 pieces of each paper in the book, but I used 2 of these for pages in the book too, so these are my last 2 pages, so everything has to work good or I have to come up with another plan. So there. Perfect! Okay. Those are right side up. I have been using Mod Podge to glue these down. It stays wet just a little bit longer, but it's nice and thick still, so it's not like super ooey gooey. But I'm going to get my paintbrush. And my Mod Podge in there is almost gone. I hardly ever use Mod Podge anymore. I like it for gluing stuff down, okay, but I use Collage Podge a lot, and I really like that better because it's not satiny finish. The pages don't stick together when you have Collage Podge, as like when you use Mod Podge, your pages are still sticky to each other. It drives me nutty because I can't stand it when they stick together and they come apart and it ruins your page, and then you feel like, wow, I wasted a lot of time on that. So I try to use Collage Podge when I'm going to have a final layer or want to work over it and not have it shiny. You can also use your markers and stuff over Mod Podge, or over Collage Podge better than if you had just a plain surface or a shiny surface or flat craft paint. Flat craft paint eats your markers right away. It clogs up those felt tips. And then you have to say bad words because it makes you so mad. That's no fun. Okay, that works. And I am going to actually use my brayer to really flatten this down really, really good. Now these, I probably need to put down and press until they're completely dry. So I think I'm going to have to put these under a book and let them press while we work on the other part. I'm just going to do this because I can. I'm going to put them both together, and I'm just going to set this really heavy book on top of them. I'm going to work on top of that for right now. This book is ginormous. I could put a piece of paper under it so you don't have to look at that scary, distracting thing.